This conference will now be recorded.
So guys, do you have any questions regarding previous session? Anybody have any questions about web services? So yesterday we discussed about how to publish web services, right? So I explained two ways. One is proxy way. So that uh, if we know about only WSDL, right? If we have only WSDL, that time we'll go for proxy service. There is another way. So that is JAX WS. So even if you are aware about the Java guys, so people will follow JAX WS only. That time, you have to keep the external jar files. But whereas in Mule, you don't need to add any external dependencies. That will take care to add that all the JAX WS and all, right? So how that annotation automatically will come? If you see @ web service annotation, so that is under one of the dependency, right? So we're not adding any dependency for that. So Mule will take care of all the dependencies. But whereas if you want to implement in Java, you have to add these all external files. The JAX WS related jar files, we have to add it. So that time only we'll get to know that @ web services and all. Okay, so you no need to do write anything. You have to concentrate on only operation, which method you are going to publish it. What was the logic behind that? So that you have to concentrate it. So only two classes you have to create it. One is interface, which contains all the methods we are going to expose, right? So on the second one is implementation of each method. So we see clearly, so that @ web service will take it to generate a WSDL file. The structure and all it will take care. So the only operation part we have to take care. Okay. So hope you are good that one. So the next topic is, so we'll discuss about MUnit, guys. Um, so today we'll concentrate on MUnit. We'll see how to implement MUnit and all. In the next session, we'll discuss about that stored proc, guys. This is a pending from the database concept. We'll discuss about the stored proc also in the next session. So here, so the MUnit. So why we need to write the MUnit? What was the purpose to write the MUnit? So that we'll discuss about the first. After that, we'll take small example then first. So then we'll see what components we have to use for the MUnit. And then next level, we'll see one more example. So then we'll see what are all the components we have to use for asset and all. We'll see that one. So basically, so here, so clients are basically two types, guys. So few of the people are technical clients will be there, and then some are whatever we did, so they will accept it actually, right? So if he's a technical client, so they will ask a minute compulsory. And then if you see, even if you write the Java classes also, they will ask the functional test JUnit actually. So if you write the Java, or else maybe for .NET or any technology, some kind of a test cases should require that. Not QA related I'm talking about. So the developer have to write some JUnit, or in case of MuleSoft, there is a MUnit, and then mocking mechanism. There is a separate framework is there, guys, to mock the object, right? So mock also separate framework is there, so that we have a components called mock in MuleSoft. Similarly in Java or else somewhere else, there is a built-in classes are there that contains mock framework. So we'll just mock it actually. So we don't need to hit a real thing, right? We'll show like it's kind of a, what you can say, it's kind of a blame game. So like suppose you're talking to database, right? You're not really talk to database actually. You just assert the connection is established or not. If connection established, if you really insert the data, what information you will get it, that you will mock it actually. You are not really hitting the database. If you really hit it, what information you will get it, that will mock it actually. If you mock it that particular component, it won't go and insert the data actually. You already mock it, so that whatever the information you are getting if you really hit it, that information you mark it, so that that particular cursor, so when you are flowing step by step, cursor is moving, if cursor is seeing that that is already marked, so then it won't go inside the logic whatever you written that that particular component. So because you already marked the response, already have it, so then it will come back and then it will take that response, it will come back, right? So coming to back, so why we need to write the MUnit test cases? So sorry for that. So generally, sometimes now see, I have a server access. Think like this. I have a server access. So client given me clearly, boss, this is your cloud server and cloud hub or else on-premises server. You can go and deploy. So once you're done your local with Jetty server and all. So once you're done in your local, so then go and deploy into these are the servers, the cloud hub or also on-premises servers are the they shared us. Then we go and deploy it, right? But in some cases, some high secure applications, like it's a financial application, they won't share any servers, guys. They won't share any cloud URLs, cloud uh, credentials, right? Or also on premises. Basically, if it is a financial service, they will go for on premises. They will maintain their own infrastructure. So they have to take care of that, configure the servers and all, right? On top of the AWS, and I mean they will buy the space in AWS. So they only take care to install all the servers and all. How people done in the cloud hub, similar manner, we have to create all the servers, and then we have to deploy that application to servers, right? If suppose client won't expose their servers, so what needs to be done? So for that, you have to make sure your application should work or not. We have to prove, we have to show the proof, right? So you already worked at your local, so that is working fine. But we're not sure if you're working in, if it is working in local, when you're trying to deploy into environment, so maybe environment it won't work, right? So we seen a few of the version based issues or some other issues will get it actually. So that in case of if it is working local, we're not sure if it is working in environment or not, right? That's why. So they're not exposing servers, right? They're not giving any server access, so that we have to show the proof whatever you written the flow, so the flow is working or not. So for that we are writing a MUnit test cases, guys. Hope you guys are clear. So this is the only reason, and the other reason is, so few of the technical clients, they will ask for everything. So if you write a some Java class, boss, please write the JUnit. If you write a some flow, so boss, please write the MUnit. So for every flow, they will ask MUnit actually, right? If it's a technical clients. But other scenario is this: if we don't have any server access, we have to show that everything is working or not. We have to show only the proof of concept is only the MUnit. Okay, these are the scenarios. We'll go for MUnit. Apart from that, it's based on your standards what you are following, or else your architect will suggest. So it depends on the project to project actually. So we have to write the MUnit test cases. That's a reason. And then, so coming to here, so how to write the MUnit test cases? Okay, so here once you've done your flow, once you've done your flow, so on the right click, uh, top of the flow, just right click on the top of the flow. There is an option will get enabled, guys. MUnit option will get enabled. So when this MUnit get enabled, so sometimes if you are using latest Anypoint Studio, automatically should come. If not, so then go and install that MUnit related plugin. So go to install new softwares. You guys are aware it, right? So how to do all these new plugins and all, right? So here clearly mentioned there's MUnit, right? MUnit update site and all. Select that one. So choose that. So there is MUnit related stuff is here. You can see the plugins and all. MUnit related. So just select it MUnit related plugin and then install it, so that that particular plugin automatically come to the right click. Hope you guys are clear. So in my machine already installed. So install softwares. Okay, this is the way to add that is a way to add that MUnit plugin so that automatically it will reflect into your right click guys. MUnit. So there is a I already created a suit. So if you already created, so that these three options will get it actually. Add to existing to a suit, jump to suit, and create a new suit. So first time you get a create a new suit. Okay. So click the create a new suit. So what happened when you create a new suit? So it will create automatically this kind of separate flow get created under MUnit. So we already discussed about the structure clearly where you create the MUnit and all. There is a folder called src test slash MUnit. So here we have to create that MUnit. So by automatically when you are trying to right click and then choose the suit, create a suit, so then automatically get created under MUnit guys. Okay, so make sure you have to add the plugin properly, so otherwise you will face some issues. It won't execute properly. MUnit config issues, all these issues will get it actually. And then once you've done that, so by default I'm just removing this. So right click here and then create a suit. See, these options get changed. Now only I can see only one option. Previously if you see three options I can see. Create a new hello world XML suit. So when you did that one, so automatically it will create a MUnit suit, and then I can see only one flow reference. Nothing is there, right? I can see only one flow reference. I can see. If you open and see flow reference, what it is saying, it's trying to talk with hello world flow one. Where is that hello world flow one? See, you can see this name of the flow main flow name is hello world flow one. So means what? It's trying to talk with your original flow. So what if you have a multiple flows, right? If you have a multiple flows, so generally people will follow while creating a MUnit. The basic, the best practices are so bottom to top approach, guys. In the sense, so if you see here in my particular this production flow, whatever it is, so it's only one flow is that there is no subflow and all, right? So bottom to approach in the sense, if you have any subflows, right, first create the MUnit for subflows, right, bottom to top approach. So first we create the MUnit for subflows, then main flows, like that actually, right? That is called bottom to approach. So if you have a multiple flows or if you have any subflows, first create the subflows and then come to main flows. Okay, so here one flow is the directly that get created only for that flow. So here you can see the flow reference, it is pointing to so your original flow, hello world flow one. So then after that, so what if you try to run it, what happened? So according to your flow reference, it will go here and it will execute here, right? So then after that, so you have to show your MUnit test case should pass. So when your MUnit test case should pass, so what was the result of this? So here after HTTP inbound connector, I placed one payload here, and then payload should give some response, right? So here when you're trying to execute this MUnit, it will go here and then it will execute and it will give the response back as a hello world. But here we have to use some component asset true, asset false. So then we have to asset that one. So when you're doing asset true, right, there are many components, guys. Asset equals also. So for this, what we are trying to do it, if this particular flow is written, this hello world, so we are trying to assert it actually. What we are trying to do it, boss, if you return this hello world, so our test case get passed. Why? Because so this is also returning the hello world only, right? If you think you are talking to the database is giving some result, nothing but records are get inserted, these many records are get inserted, or else you are doing some select query, select star from employee where salary is greater than something, you are getting some records, right? So that you can assert it actually. So that particular case, we should, I mean, we are not aware how many records are getting or else, right? So we can say like payload is not equal to null when your test case is passed. So that means what? So when you are getting a records, that means your database connection successfully done. And then connection as well as your from the database, some records are getting back, right? So that time only your payload get positive, right? So that way we have to assert it actually. Here what I'm trying to do it, your flow is written hello world. So same thing, I'm just asserting it. So if written the hello world, my test case get passed. Right here I'm just keeping payload here, the real value, actual value is payload, right? And then expected value is what? If the expected value is hello world, so my test case get passed, right? If so, think it. So you don't have any server access, right? How will show that your API or else your flow is working? You will just execute this. If you execute this, whatever this flow is written, right? Same thing we are doing here. That particular flow, I know that what it returns, so that's why I just assert it. If the flow is written whatever the expected value, I just assert it actually. If the expected value is coming from that flow, my test case get passed. Hope you guys are clear. Okay, if you see here, I just run anywhere, or else if you have a multiple test cases, you can execute specific test case. So right click on the specific test case, you can execute specific test case, and then there is ignore test case also there. If you ignore it, then it just ignore it actually, it won't execute if you run. If you run total suit also, it won't execute it actually. We can stop it, we can ignore it, that particular one. So I just executed that one. So because whatever the return value, you can see it here, the select option also will come, the green mark you can see. That means that component, that particular processor touched. Okay. So when you're writing MUnit, so your cursor should touch all the processors, so that your test coverage should get 100%. Otherwise, if you are ignoring any processor in the flow, so your test case maybe will get less percentage. Okay, so you can see it here. My test case get passed, you can see the green symbol here clearly. And then if you want to see the coverage and all, so here you can see the overall coverage is 100%. And then generate report here, there is a report here. So you can see it here, application overall application coverage is 100%. Individual flow wise also you can see the coverage. So resource, whatever the hello world flow, right? Hello world flow contains only one processor. You will touch that all the processor, how many processor. Suppose there is a two processors are there, so you touch one processor and then you ignore the other processor, so you'll get maybe 50%. Okay, so this is the way to write the MUnit test cases. And then so nobody tell us, so boss, this is the only the way to write the MUnit, right? Nobody decide that one. So based on your flow, so you just mock it, or you just assert it, whatever the information you are expected, whatever the information you are getting, so that you have to put into the that associated component, right? So here I take an asset equals many components are there here to support a minute related part. You can see this asset equal, asset false, asset true. So these are all components you can use it. So here in my particular example, so this is a suitable component because I have to get the payload, I have to check what was the expected value, right? Suppose here the test failure cases, I'm just mentioning like just something mentioned here. So if you are expecting any wrong message, you can put it here, test failure message. Let's see the scenario, failure scenario. I just mentioned here different value. Okay, I just changed that. Let's see. So if you see here, what happened here exactly, your total server again it will run with a different port number, right? So generally your application you are trying to deploy it, right? Normally manual deployment, right click on the application you are trying to deploy it, right? Here also what happened, it's trying to deploy it. Total server logs you can see. So total application is trying to deploy it, and then so it's clearly show the analytics also. How many test cases you written, how many failure, how many success, so what kind of the issue you are getting, it's clearly show us guys. So observe here java.clang.assertion error, oops, flow get wrong, expected hello world but was welcome to MuleSoft, clearly saying it. Okay, you are expected hello world but you are returning something you are getting from the flow, welcome to MuleSoft. You can see the red here, so you can see the root cause also here, errors, coverage. Root cause you can see the logs here also, somewhere else you can see. That's a old report. You can see that log clearly says what was the issue. Apart from that, so this somewhere else it can show us actually what is the error. It's not coming here, but we can see the error. Yeah, here you can see the error clearly. So what is the error? So based on that, you have to take the action. You have to modify your test case. So whatever the missing thing or else wrong thing, so we have to do that again, right? Any question on this? Anybody have any question? I just starts with a sample flow so that we'll get to know clear picture on this. Guys, anybody have any questions? Okay, hope you're good. So this is the way to write the MUnit test cases, guys. Let's go to another flow. I'll just walk through the code, guys, so that we'll implement this MUnit for this. See here, there's an example flow. So here I just hard coded that. I mean, we are getting the some parameter from the query parameters. You can see it http.inbound properties of that URL key is the query parameter. You know that how to get it around all. So then it will jump to example flow 2. So click F3, it will jump to that particular flow, and it will go to the particular subflow. So here I put as choice router. So here I'm checking like payload underscore one dot equals whatever the payload, right? So payload one dot equals to payloads, then route to examples of flow one, or else route to examples of flow two. So it's a choice router based on the condition specific. So your flow, your cursor will jump to that associated subflow. Okay, then from there again it's a flow reference here. Again from here it will jump to examples of flow one. So here I written like so my variable value is variable underscore one. If it is jump to another subflow, okay, if it is a condition is get false, so then it will go to here. So then variable value is 2. right? So it's clearly pretty much clear, this flow. So from here it will jump to here and it will execute this particular choice router and then associated nested flow. Nested flow, it will execute it and it will return the variable value, right? So once that is done, it will come back to the choice router here, main flow choice router. The flow where start my underscore variable one dot equals variable underscore value one. So then we are trying to display that particular payload, response payload one. Else, so we are returning, so this response payload two, right? So then for this I told you, right, bottom to approach. So first create the subflows, then go to the main flow. So then this is the test case I written. We'll see one by one. So here is the example flow to test one, right? So in the previous example, so we're not passing any message, right? We are not passing any payload. It's kind of a straightforward. So we are simply calling that particular flow. In the particular flow, we just hard coded. So we that particular hard coded, we just asserted. So in this particular scenario, if you see here, this is example flow test flow to test, right? If you see, where is the example flow to? This is the one, right? If you see this particular subflow, uh, it was expecting some value, right? So the payload underscore one dot equals to payload. So this was expecting some information. So in this kind of scenarios, so we have a component called set a message. So because we have to set the some starting information, because it was expecting some information, so that it will take the information and it will go and compare it, right? So generally if you execute your main flow, so what happened, that information coming from the here. So why? Because you hard coded here, right? You hard coded something as a query parameter, so that will place into your payload, so that particular payload will continue. So then wherever required, that will use it. But when you are trying to execute this one, so we are not really hitting the browser, right? We are not really hitting the URL. So means, so if you executing this one, so how will test this flow generally? So using that listener, right? In the listener we will pass a query parameters. In the query parameter we'll fill that particular value. The expected query parameter will fill it, then we'll hit the submit button. But whereas in MUnit, so we are not hitting that. We don't have any the listener kind of thing, nothing, right? So that we have to hard code it. For hard code it, so we have a messages, guys. So set message is the one component in palette. Just drag and drop that one. So I just put some message here. The payload is I hard coded here. There is no other way, guys. Either two things here. If it is a large, so it's a simple message, so that I just put a set message and then payload underscore two I put it. So there is other way is you can put into the some example here. SRC main resources. We can put the example payload. You can read that example. You can put it here actually. Okay, so the resource dot properties dot some syntax is there. You can use that resource dot properties and then sample example value, you can put it here. We'll see that. So in this particular scenario, I just hard coded payload underscore two. Once the cursor will come to here, when you're trying to execute your MUnit, right? So once after this component, handy that particular payload underscore one is handy. So then it will go to the flow reference. So as usual, it will call to your main flow, right? It will call to your main flow. So here what happened, this condition will check it. You already fill that payload, right? Payload underscore one dot equals to whatever you are passing the payload, right? You are setting the message here, right? So that is equal, right? So then it will take associated direction, or else based on the condition it will move to next level. So if it is this get path true, then it will go to next level. It will go to that particular subflow, right? That particular subflow. So then once this is done, this will return some value, right? So means this will return that particular variable, right? We are getting some particular my underscore variable value will get it. So the next level is verify call. So what we are doing here, if you've done this one, once you've done this one, choice condition. So based on the choice condition, it will route to either this flow or this flow, right? If this choice condition is true, the payload underscore one, suppose if you set the message is payload underscore one, so then it will go to the example subflow one, else it will go to the example subflow two. So then here what we are trying to do it, we are trying to verify the call. So means, so once it will true that either it is going to example subflow one or else example subflow two. So that we are trying to verify the call. This verify call says, so the match contains, this is the built-in string, match contains example subflow one, right? So then that time your test case get passed. Why? Because so here you are passing here the value called payload underscore when you are passing, it will jump to your subflow wherever you written the 10 minute, right? It will go there. I mean, whatever you written for that specific flow, it will go here and then it will check the condition and it will go to the, if the check condition is satisfied, it will go to here, right? So here the flow name is example subflow one. So here also same thing, right? In the verify call, whatever you passing the message that will satisfy, then it will go to the example subflow one. So same thing we are checking here. So boss, if your flow is going to this particular subflow, so your test case get passed, right? So that's what we are trying to assert it, right? So this particular flow expected a minute, that only, right? So it will come, it should come here and then it will either it's going to redirect either example subflow one or subflow two, right? Same thing we are trying to assert it. If this went to properly the examples of flow one, your test case get passed. Then coming to similar kind of thing here. So here I'm setting payload 2, then it will go here and then it will check the condition, the verify call. If it will go to the examples of flow 2, then your test case get passed. So that means you tell me, is there any way, failure process, failure scenario, suppose you don't have a server access, you just deploy this particular subflow in a cloud, I mean they will take care to deploy it. So you are clearly saying, you are clearly verifying that actually if the expected input is coming, this is the expected route, right? Here also this expected input is coming properly. So then this is a routing, right? Is offload, the payload 2 will come in the input, then it will route to the subflow 2. Payload 1 will come, so example subflow 1 it will route it, right? So that's, we clearly assert it actually, we clearly verify the call so that there is no failure case here, right? If expected value is coming. Okay, hope you guys are clear. So if you have any questions you can ask, guys. So there is a first one, there is an example subflow 2, example flow 2. So the next one is, so this is example flow unit test 2. So this one is once we'll once we'll execute that flow reference, so then I just mock it here. So in the mock it, set to virtual payload. If you see here, this is we are trying to call direct main flow here. We are trying to directly call main flow here. So if you were set to virtual payload will call, right? So basically that particular component will call, right? So whenever your cursor will jump into main flow, the main flow will expect this particular component get failed, right? Because we are not passing any information, right? The query parameter, it was expecting some syntax here, right? So it will try to look into it, boss, where is my URL key, right? It will try to look into that. So but we are not passing any query parameter here, right? I just simply call that flow reference. So it will go here, and then what we are trying to do here, we are trying to mock it. So what I'm trying to mock it, what was the component name here? The component name is, you can see it here clearly, the component name, the set to virtual payload. So when the cursor is looking for set to virtual payload, so boss, where is the URL key? So what I'm trying to say, boss, don't expect the value. So this is the value for that. So when you are trying to look into that particular set to original payload, so this is the value. So I'm already giving the value. Don't go inside and try to execute that part. Hope you guys are clear. So that is nothing but a mocking, guys. Mocking terminology is nothing but, so it's kind of a blame, right? So it's trying to expect the value. Simply we just mock it. Actually, if you mock it, right, it won't go inside and it will try to look the where is the it will try to execute that particular syntax, right? It won't go and execute it if you mock it, right? So that was the mocking mechanism. So once that will complete, next it will come to here, right? So the next component is again one more component we are trying to mock it. There is an example flow too. So where is the example flow to? So this is the example flow to. Again, what happened? So it will go to inside the example flow to. It will go and it will check the choice outer condition and all. It will try to execute from here and it will go to the next level, right? So this one also, what we are trying to do it. Again, we are trying to mock it, that one also, boss. When you are trying to look into that example flow to, don't go to inside the example flow to. I am giving whatever the response coming from the example flow to. I'm giving that response, so that don't go inside. So that is also one mock it. So what I'm trying to do, that one, that mock, that is also empty. You can make it whatever the response you are getting, right? That response also you can make it. But whereas in here, so what was the, if really execute this your main flow, example flow to, it will go, then it will route it, and then it will go to the example again nested flow. Finally what it will return, guys, finally it will return some variable. That was the expectation of, so that particular example flow 2 will do, right? So end of the end, eventually we'll get either my variable 1 or else my variable 2, right? I mean variable, finally it should return some variable. So what we are trying to do it here, so in the mock, when the cursor is trying to go and execute that part, so boss, don't go inside and execute all these things. I'm giving the value what the response is coming from there, right? You can see clearly add property option is there. So add the value my underscore variable, and then variable value 2 equal to, it's an invocation, guys. It's a different types of properties, right? You've seen there is a component called message properties, right? So inside the message properties you have a invocation, right? Scoping, basically session variable, and then outbound, inbound, all these options are there. Invocation is nothing but a variable only. And then what was that? Yeah, this is the value, this is the key, right? The variable we just created variable value 2. So that what happened here, your cursor, it won't go and execute that particular flow. It just look into the mock, it will come out of that with a value. Then what we are trying to do it, asset payload. So response payload 2. So response payload 2, if your payload is response payload 2 will come. So then your cursor, what happened, it will come back, right? It will come to next level, right? So it won't go inside. So it will take the variable, whatever the variable you set it, right? It will come here, right? Choice out and again. So your variable 2 basically here, right? I set it as a in the mock mechanism, I set it as a variable 1, my underscore variable, that variable underscore value 2, that is a response coming, right? Here it will check it, what response you are getting. This get false, right? Variable underscore value 1 is not getting, variable underscore value 2 we are getting, so that this particular scenario get executed. So what was the payload here? Finally response underscore payload 2. Same thing here, I just assert payload here. So response payload 2. So this is the expected value, right? So we are getting clearly that particular value, so that your test case get passed. If other case, you can see this message, oops, wrong payload. So any question on this?
Venkat,
Yeah.
when to use this assert part and when to use that verify call?
So here we seen three components till now. One is assert equals to, another one is verify call. So this one is assert payload. So this is, if you see here, so finally some payload I am returning, right? So here is a set payload, here is a set payload. Either case, finally we'll get a payload. So that we have a asset payload component. So that I took it asset payload component. Right, in the previous case, even though here in this case also you can use asset equals, it will support because it written the response payload to clearly, right? We are trying to match the string. Asset equals, what it will do, it will try to match the string. Then if the string is get matched, your test case get success, right? And the third component is um, what was verify call. So verify call is a completely different actually. So we are trying to verify that how the cursor is moving. So that particular scenario will go for verify call, right? So either it's going for subflow 1 or subflow 2, subflow 3. We are trying to verify it actually. So if match contains that particular subflow, then your test case get passed. So straight answer for your question, verify call is for your cursor flowing actually. We'll try to check your cursor flow, where it is going. But these cases are asset true, asset false, asset payload, asset equals. These are all we are trying to compare the strings. We are trying to compare the what content you are getting. If the content, expected content you are getting, then your test case get passed or else failure. And then here there is one more component called mock. So this mocking mechanism will do, will try to add that whatever the scenario it here, right? So whatever the not possible scenario. So suppose, think like this. Here I don't keep it mocking mechanism, right? Here also I won't keep it mocking mechanism. What happened here? It will go inside and it will go execute all the parts, right? All the parts of your application, right? So here I mocked it, right? A clear example float, I mock it, I given some response, and boss don't go inside, take this virtual variable, whatever the variable that really returns. If you didn't mock it, what happened? It will go here and then it will execute this part and it will execute this part. It's nothing but a real flow you are executing. You are getting, right? You are executing complete flow, but it should not be the case, right? Again, there is no difference. You are really hitting or else the main flow execution or else your MUnit execution, there is no difference. But in this particular scenario, there is a two flows, then you can happily execute it. But think like this, you are talking to database, you are talking to some other third party, then you are getting, that will take some time, right? So that we should not really talk to that guy. If you really talk to that guy, so there is no difference between your main flow, your normal execution, this execution, right? Even though if you talk to really also, so then it will take long time to respond us, right? Suppose you are talking to some, you are trying to talk some third party guy, so you are expecting some result, right? So you have to wait for until the response come back, right? So what we are doing here, we are not waiting for that. So whatever the response that guy provides, that response we are mock it actually, so that you no need to wait for that guy. So it will simply it will take less fraction of seconds and it will execute it actually. Is it clear?
Yes, Venkat, it's clear.
Any other questions, guys? So let's go to next one. So this is also similar kind of thing, guys. Uh, we're trying to put a some. So here, observe here, all you can add the query parameters also. That kind of facility is there, guys. You can add the, so here, functional test case example flow. This is a main flow you are talking. Actually, we are creating this one. So we are filling that query parameter also. If you see here, we have a possible way to create the query parameter also in the bottom. The URL underscore key, right? HTTP query parameters. URL underscore key is nothing but a value, right? So we are passing that one. So then it will really execute that main flow. And then whatever the value you are getting, right, so that will come. Then we are trying to asset it. Similarly, this one also other case, right? So let me try to execute this. So right click here. So run MUnit. So it will try to execute all the things. See, so it's your own way you can put a components, guys. Nobody tell like boss only you have to use this component to assert it or else mock it. Nobody tell us, guys. So based on the your, so who will write basically a minute? You should know end to end your flow execution, end to end knowledge on your flows. Then that time only you can write a minute, guys. Others can't able to write. If I implement one flow, I can able to write that a minute test case because I know end to end of that flow behavior, right? So that I can write it. Suppose somebody else implemented that flow, you are trying to write a minute, so you have to understand end to end what happened in the particular flow, right? That time only you can choose the components, which component I have to use it, right? Hope you guys are clear. So the total 6 test cases, guys. Out of 6, all are get passed. You can see the coverage here 100% and generate report. So you can see the report here. So overall application coverage is 100%, and then this is the each flow coverage. You can see the first flow out of five components, 5 process. I covered all the 5 processes. Here also 3, 1, 1, right? So that it will give 100%. So there is a scenario, there is some scenarios it's not possible to cover all the processes, and then it's okay with at least 80%, 70% overall coverage. 70, it's based on the, I told you, right? It's based on the client having some standards, right? So based on that, they have their own standards. Each application should follow this much coverage, this much code coverage, right? So that we have to get that much coverage, right? Okay, you can see it here. I touch all the components. So any questions on this?
Venkat,
Okay. Hmm.
to run the MUnit, before we should run the main flow so that
Mhm.
like, or else directly we can run
Why we?
MUnit.
We no need to run the main flow. So main flow should. So main flow anyway. That is you already done. That was already working, right? Right.
Yes, but sometimes it will tell none. It's like the flow is already up and running, so you want to stop that and rerun
Uh,
it. Sometimes it was asking so.
yeah, yeah. Maybe you already ran that that main flow also. Then you are again running your minute, right? So that that conflict will get. It's not a conflict exactly because it will run 2 different ports.
Okay, okay.
So internally, I told you, right. So again, it's a minute is trying to deploy your application.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so that's all about a minute, guys. If you have any question, we'll discuss. Otherwise, we'll discuss the other things. Yeah, I'll just walk through that database stuff, guys. If you can able to do it. So I have to install MySQL in my machine. Then one step, I will show the stored proc execution part. I'll just walk through that procedure, how to implement the procedure and all, so that you try it. Then I will give the clear picture how to do that stored procedure. So compared to normal queries, right? Normal way that CUD operations. What is the difference while talking to the procedure call, right? So here, the connection wise same, guys. There is no difference, right? Only the difference is here when you choose the operation type, right? Only the operation type is different. Stored procedure. So here, once you choose the stored procedure, so here the parameterized query. So we have to write, we have to call the procedure. So how we write the other queries, right? Select, update, delete. So similar way, there is a call, CAL call. So call that particular procedure. So this procedure should be there in your backend, right? Otherwise, obviously we know, right? So SQL exception will get it. So the call that procedure, and then so inside the procedure, so basically why people will prefer the procedure, right? So if you write a, maybe you people are aware about the joins, right? Inner joins, outer join, left outer join, left. So these are all joins. What joins will do? So we'll try to talk with the multiple tables at a time, right? So that time we'll go for all the joins concept, right? We'll write a huge queries. For avoiding these scenarios, what these database guys are doing, so they will take care to write a logic inside the proc, right? Inside the proc, they will take care of all this mapping, insertion, all this stuff they are taking. Simply they are saying, boss, you just call the procedure, just give me whatever I am expecting data so that I will take care to ingest. Hope you guys are clear. So for avoiding all these such kind of joins and then complex logics from our side, so they will take care to write the procedure, and then procedure basically will expect in-out parameters. Some in parameters it will expect. Once you will pass the in parameters, it will give some out parameter. Sometimes in-out also. In-out, in means whatever we are giving the parameters, so they are expecting the parameters. Nothing but they are whatever they are expecting parameters, that is nothing but in parameters. Whatever they are returning the parameters, right? Suppose you given some payload you given, right? Or else some here if you see employee ID I given, right? Employee ID is nothing but in parameter. I am giving the employee ID. That so here what I'm trying to do it, I'm trying to whatever the employee ID, whatever the employee I'm passing dynamically, I'm trying to increase the bonus. Suppose the salary is 10,000, that particular employee ID. I'm trying to I'm trying to increase the I'm trying to give the bonus for that particular employee ID 500, means salary plus bonus I'm trying to add it, right? So employee ID is a in parameter. He will take the in parameter. He will write the logic. So he will take it to sum that salary plus that bonus. Then he will give return back. Right? What response he will give? So here basically out parameter is not there. So if you out parameter is there, then you will give it. So the response back like this is the final response, the salary plus that amount, the bonus amount, right? So that is out parameter. Whatever he is giving back, that is out parameter. Sometimes so suppose I want to see which employee get increased. I want to see the both the information. I'm giving employee ID, so get the logic at done the logic at procedure side, and give it back employee ID along with response. That means whatever in parameter I'm giving, I'm expecting out parameter also same in parameter, right? So that it is nothing but an in out parameter. Here there is a drop down is here. It won't appear. Just click it here. There is a three things are there here. So there is an in parameter, out parameter, and in out parameter. So whatever you are giving, so you are expecting same back from the procedure. So make it in out. So if you are giving in parameter, you are not expecting return back, just make it in parameter, right? And then if you are expecting out parameter, so then make it out parameter. So that is a concept of in out to in out parameters, right? Hope you guys are clear. We are providing the information how that guy was expecting, so that he will write the logic, whatever the backend logic, right? Expected logic, he will write it. Either maybe it's a transform the thing, either maybe it's a talking to tables, other tables, and then ingest the data and then get back the thing. So he will take care all the part. So we are avoiding the such complex logic from our side. So that why one more reason is because if you go for legacy system, if you go for legacy system, so that is already proved that functionality, that processor is working as a fine at production. So we don't need to touch that particular procedure. So why don't we go ahead and call same procedure and then continue, right? That kind of scenarios also will come, right? So that obviously we have to use that procedure. Then how procedure is expecting, so we have to pass the information to procedure so that so that the procedure will return the response, whatever we are expecting response, right? So we'll get back that we'll continue the next level of logic from our side. So generally, when you will go for this kind of procedure, uh, for example, you are creating some opportunities, right? So suppose I want to buy some 1,000 adapters. The front end guy requested with 1,000 adapters. The middleware. So first I'm receiving the request. I just validated is that particular user is existing or not in the Salesforce. Once the user is existing, even the user is not existing also, you have to create some guest kind of user. Then you go ahead and create a opportunity because it's a end of the day business, right? So they will get $10 of business, so that we should not ignore that case. So that we create a guest user and then temporary user. So then go ahead and create an opportunity. When you're trying to calculate an opportunity, so the amount should calculate, right? So 1,000 adapters into that particular day dollar amount, right? So day by day get increase or decrease, the changes happen in the dollar amount. So these people, they won't ask to calculate the opportunity amount. Why? Because I told you, right? So day by day it's getting increased. They are maintaining the dollar amount information maybe in the backend some table, right? Daily they will upgrade that accordingly, right? So that they will take care of all the opportunity amount calculation. They won't give to mules or boss do this. If you want to do it also, again, what needs to be done? You have to get the dollar amount, that particular day dollar amount, that particular time dollar amount. You have to get it. You have to calculate it. So for avoiding this, the client have already maintained the client already maintaining somewhere else the dollar amount information dynamically, so that they will get it. And the procedure, in the procedure they will calculate all the information. They will simply give it back. This is a dollar amount, this is a opportunity amount, so you can enhance your existing payload. Go ahead and create an opportunity in the Salesforce. So this kind of scenarios will go for uh, what we call, so this stored proc. And then this is one scenario, similar kind of wherever the complex database logic is there, simply they will provide the logic, so they will provide the processor call. So generally every company have a separate backend, every project have a separate backend people, right? So they will take care of the create a procedure and all. But from our side, at least we should know the basic knowledge on the procedure creation and all, right? Why? Because suppose the procedure is not yet ready, it's a complex logic. You are running it some sprint, right? You are running specific sprint. You have to close your story, but backend guy is not yet ready with that procedure, right? What needs to be done? You have to create your mock, at least mock procedure. You have to create it, the expected value you have to return from the procedure. Then you go ahead and you can complete your story, right? So that kind of challenges also we have to face in the middleware. The mock procedure, you have to create it, you have to get the expected value back, then go ahead and finish your work, right? These are all the scenarios we'll go for procedure. So we'll see, we'll discuss one procedure coming session, maybe Monday. Guys, Monday you people can join, huh? Monday is 31st, Tuesday. Or else Wednesday.
Monday we can't directly we'll
Monday.
move to.
Okay, so we'll connect on Wednesday. Okay, second we'll connect. Hope
Okay, thank
everybody
you.
okay for that. So that's all for today, guys. Thanks for joining. So we'll meet on Wednesday next year. Thanks, guys. Happy New Year in advance. Thanks for joining. Bye all.
Thank you. Bye.